Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to today's vlog for Wednesday, the 4th of February. Hope you're all right, all good, had a good day. I'm going to start off today. I'm going to talk about niche markets. Now, if you're a class 1 trucker and general, you've got all sorts of different options you can do. You can do general haulage, event work. You could be hauling containers out of a pool or trailers out of a pool. There's fridge work, there's event work. You could do tankers with petrol. There's all sorts, a whole plethora of different sectors of the transport industry that you can get into. Us in the vans, it's a little bit more restricted, obviously. I think there's 4 areas where you could look at being a niche operator in a van. One of them is ADR, one is removals, one is event work, and the other is international. I was going to talk about all 4, but I think I'm probably only going to do 2 today and do 2 tomorrow, because I do like to try and keep these videos around about the 12-minute mark. So ADR, I am the last person in the world who is going to be an expert on ADR. I did quite a bit about it when I worked in transport back in the 80s, and I did my CPC, transport manager stuff. I was pretty clued up about it. But in that 30 odd years, a lot has changed. So we need an expert. Now, I've had a couple of instances with hazardous goods. I've had 2 jobs in my time in the last couple of years where I've arrived and goods have been hazardous. First time it was dealt with brilliantly. I phoned the shipper up. I said, I've got some goods here that are hazardous, and he said, okay, I'm a minute. And he said, yeah, you're absolutely right, it's completely my error, I've completely missed out on the details from the customer. We agreed a cancellation charge, and we all went off on our own way, very happy. The second time wasn't so good. Same situation, I turned up, some of the boxes are marked as hazardous. I rang the shipper, said I can't do it, it's hazardous. They didn't seem to think it was a problem. They tried to convince me that the hazardous stickers on the boxes were purely to do with the goods going by air freight. I wasn't having it. Hazardous goods are hazardous goods, in my opinion. I may be wrong. And we were having a bit of a back and forth about this job. So in the end, I said, well, look, I'm not doing it. As far as I'm concerned, it's hazardous goods. I think I should get a cancellation charge. He wasn't having any of that. And in the end, we were just getting nowhere. And I just couldn't be bothered anymore. And I just said, okay, look, well, I'm not going to do the job. You sort the job out. I'm now going to pull out of here and not charge a cancellation. We were just going back and forth, and in the end I just got the hump with it, and I couldn't be bothered for the 20-30 pounds or whatever we're going to argue over it. I left it. But hazardous goods, I'm sure there are 1 or 2 less reputable couriers that would have taken the goods and took a chance, but if you get caught, the penalties are going to be huge. So what I'm thinking with this, we know you can earn more money with hazardous goods. Dave from Anvil Logistics, quite often lately his days have been saved by the fact that he can do ADR, and I don't think I'm letting him out the bag. He has said in the past that I think his minimum price is £100 for an ADR job, irrespective of where it's going. Could be a mile, could be 50 miles. He probably charges more in that case. So that's a good thing of ADR. You're obviously going to have an increase in your insurance because you have to inform your insurance company, and you obviously have to lay out for the equipment that's needed for hazardous, and there might be things like fire extinguishers, etc., that only have a limited lifespan. But what I'm thinking, I know Dave from Anvil Logistics, and he's now renamed his YouTube channel Anvil Courier Collective. So he is going to talk about this subject. I'm not sure if he's going to do it this week or next week, one of the weeks. And I think he's going to bring in as well Neil from Neptune Couriers, who is also a transport manager, and he will be up to date with all that you need to know and need to do if you want to carry ADR. So if you do follow Dave, you will see it this week or next week. If you don't, please follow Anvil Logistics or Anvil Courier Collective now, and get what you need to know about ADR. You may be able to earn yourself some extra money that way, but whatever you do, don't nick Dave's customers. You've got to promise him that. The next one was house removals, and my local Brightling Sea Facebook group, every day someone will put on there, need a man with a van to help with removals. And I think this is quite a growth industry, because I think more and more people now actually rent a property rather than own. When my wife and I moved nearly 2 years ago, we had a 40-foot removal lorry and also a Luton van. I'm pleased to say my contents was just a suitcase and a couple of boxes. The rest of it was all my wife's clobber and bits and pieces. But a lot of people are able to do it in a van. Now, I don't want to do house removals. I have no interest. I also get annoyed when I see these type of jobs on the courier exchange, because for me it's not courier work, it's a specialist job. And these jobs on the courier exchange, they always seem to say the same thing: 2 bedside tables, 4 bags of clothes and half a dozen boxes, when the reality is you turn up, you've got 2 bedside tables, a bed, a wardrobe, a couple of lamps, all the obligatory 55-inch television with no bubble wrap around it. And you know, these are people's property. They obviously you don't want to get them damaged, and you need to know what you're picking up, because when we arrive at a normal collection, if it's 3 pallets, we can easily sort that out on the van. If it's 1 pallet, if it's heavy, it's got to go on the back. If it's light, you can put it against the headboard. If it's boxes, you need to stack. You need to know what you're picking up. And with house removals, sometimes you haven't got a clue, because this stuff just seems to keep coming and coming and coming, and then it finishes up not packed correctly or loaded correctly in your van, and that causes damage. And of course, if there's damage, then people want to claim. And also as well, I think you can't really stand there, do nothing on removals. You're almost obliged to assist and help. So I do get annoyed when I see removal jobs on the courier exchange, because I think the shipper is probably charging the customer a house removal rate, but because us at the bottom end of the tree are just getting it offered to us as if it's a normal job. If you do want to do removals, Facebook is a brilliant place. As I say, every day someone seems to want a van, and there's always people suggesting people, individuals or small companies that can do removals. But if you've got all the correct equipment, you can probably almost get away with a decent half-day or full-day charge for it. And it's something easy where you don't really have to go looking for work. Work will find you through places like Facebook. I'm sure there's other sites available, but it's the only one that I use and I see. So that could be a niche market on your area. You've got the van, you've got the equipment, it's probably well looked after. It's not some tatty old rat banger that turns up. So that could be a good source of income. As I say, there's 2 others, events and international. I think I'll talk about them tomorrow, because I just want to get on for a few bits from today. Right, on to today. I didn't have a job. Very, very rare, but I had no work for this morning. Very, very quiet on the CX yesterday afternoon. There was one job that appeared at 5 o'clock, which was from Colchester CO7. I could tell by the map it's in this small industrial estate just outside of Brightling Sea. It's literally 5 minutes, and it was from there, and it was going into West 1, central London. It was a large van, no, small van, apologies, small van, 77 miles, and I put a price of 125 on it. That's my London price. That job sat there till about 7:30. Then it was sold and reappeared again at the top of the pile. I wasn't going to bother, and then I put a price on it again of £125. Sat there till 9 o'clock, then came sold and reappeared again. I dropped my price by £5 to 120. I went to bed after the football, just after 10 o'clock. It was still there. It had been sold this morning when I got up, not to me, obviously. But when you look at that, you know, if you're doing £1 a mile, 77 miles, that's £77. You've got the congestion charge, that's another 18. So the minimum it's got to be 95. So I don't think an extra 30 quid when you're going into central London, bearing in mind 77 miles take 3 hours from pickup to get to delivery. Don't think 125 again is a huge price. But didn't get that. Dropped the wife off at Colchester Station, 6:15 as per normal. Went and got my porridge and cup of tea. There was a job come up quite quickly, around about 6:45. And I thought that's quite interesting. Colchester, 5 minutes from where I was. Going to Cambridge, large van, 67 miles, put £80 on it. Sold very quickly, but again, not to me. I sat around, I moved away from where I was because I was going to exceed the 90 minutes parking that you're allowed free of charge. So I went down to Costa, got myself a coffee. I thought I might be in for a long wait. Job did come up finally at 8:45 from Colchester, Earls Colne. That's halfway between Colchester and Halstead. And it was a job for a large van going to E15 Stratford. 59 miles. I put a price of £80 on it, regular shipper, and I did get it, so that was good. I thought, fine, that's only going to take sort of 25 minutes to get to Earls Colne. I forgot the road that goes from Colchester to Earls Colne is the A1124, and I saw a sign the other week about some roadworks. As soon as you get on it off the A12, it's telling you the road is closed. Sat nav said keep going. Literally every 20 yards there's another sign saying road's closed. You start to feel a little bit stressed here. This isn't going to go well. Halfway along there's a road off to the right that seemed to be a major road that was also just being closed, with more diversion signs. So we then got a situation where you're driving down this road, there's a diversion sign to the left and a diversion sign to the right, and my sat nav's telling me to keep going. I hadn't been to this collection point before, so yeah, a bit of a nightmare. We did get there in the end, we did find it, and I suppose I lost about 20 minutes, and being already a late start, I didn't really want to, I couldn't really afford the 20 minutes, but it happened, so we just have to get on with it. Picked everything up. It was 37 cartons, really good getting it on. They all helped put it on the van, and I just stacked on the van, but the van was completely full up at the end, and I already had an inkling that where I was going there was going to be some handball involved, and sure enough, that's what happened. I left at well, I got there at 9:20, left at 9:40, got on site at 11:20. Again, further problems. The M11 was closed due to an overnight accident, so I had to go around the long way around the A12 and back up the M25 and then pick up the M11 that way. So I didn't get on site till 11:20. That was off at 11:55. I did have to handball using my sack barrow. Wasn't the end of the world. Lovely girls in the office. I couldn't expect them to lug 37 cartons of shoes, so we just got on and done it. Say empty 11:55. Didn't want to hang around E3. There was a job from E3 going to Southwest 1 for a small van. Gonna name them, Royal Mail Couriers. Never worked for them, never will. They were offering £25 for the job, which I thought was extremely generous, because you hadn't been into central London, you were going to have to pay £18 congestion charge. So realistically that job was £7, and this is what I was saying yesterday about some of these small jobs in London. They pay absolute peanuts and just work on the assumption you're doing jobs all day long in central London, and the congestion charge doesn't exist. I decided to make my way up to Harlow, 40-minute drive. I needed some petrol, diesel. Starbucks, I thought I'd get another coffee and have my lunch, and Harlow's quite a good area. I've got Harlow, I've got Bishop Stortford, Dunmow. I can still go down to Braintree. I can go lots of places. Two jobs did come up from Dunmow, separate jobs. One was going to E14 with a 4 o'clock delivery slot, so there was 2 hours between collection and delivery. And one going to E16, which I guess, I looked at it, was XL. I put £100 on both jobs and didn't get them. Nice little job from Saffron Walden to Stevenage for a small van, 27 miles. That came up on CX, but I can name them, HBC. I switched over to their own app, which I have, in order to bid for that job, and I put £40 on it. I did get a phone call, but they only wanted to pay 35, and I said no, thank you. I'm going to stick with my 40 minimum. Cutting my nose off to spite my face, but when you're having a day like today, it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to work for less than my minimum on that. A few other jobs there. Ingate Stone, going to Kings Langley, small van. No, sorry, not Kings Lane, Kings Lynn. Sorry, can't read my own writing. Small van, 106 miles, put £100 on it, didn't get that, so it's less than £1 a mile. 2 jobs out of Bishop Stortford. Little one to Harlow, small van, 11 miles, £40, didn't get that. And another one from Bishop Stortford going to Norwich, small van, 88 miles. I put £80 on that and didn't get that either. Gone 2 o'clock. I'm starting to think this is going to be a one job disaster day, but I did get a second little job from Harlow going to Basildon. Small van, 31 miles, £40. Straightforward. I've picked up there plenty of times. Riverway, solar stuff. I think probably loads of you have picked up from there. They're a very busy distributor of electrical stuff. They have an on-site courier company. Nice guy. Yeah, straight in there. 20 minutes out. One pallet and a couple of boxes. Down to Basildon for 20 past 3. Took 40 minutes and off in 10 minutes. It's now, so I've hung around for a little bit in Basildon, see if there's anything. There isn't. It's 10 to 4. I think I'm going to call it a day. We'll make my way home anyway. Just going to go on the A130 now, up to Chelmsford. You never know, something might pop up, little job that I can do. Anyway, so I'm going to call it a day. Rambled on a bit today, apologies for that. We'll go again tomorrow. Haven't got a job at the moment. We'll continue, as I say, about niche markets and my thoughts and opinions on those. Yeah, so take care. I hope you've had a good day. All the best to you, and I'll speak tomorrow. Cheers, Paul.